Welcome to the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. We're your hosts, Erica Radis and Marie Lifschultz, a realtor and lender here in San Antonio, but most importantly, we're working moms just like you.
This podcast is all about creating a space where we can come together, share stories, and learn from each other. We love connecting with local moms in business, hearing about their journeys, and how they're balancing it all. Because let's be honest, it's not always easy, but it's so worth it.
Before we dive into today's episode, we're excited to share some big news with you all.
Our business community and co-working memberships are officially open. Whether you're looking for a supportive community of moms in business or need a beautiful space to work and grow, we've got just what you need here at Working Moms of San Antonio. You can visit the link in our show notes or workingmomsofsanantonio.com/membership for more info.
Now, on to today's episode. Grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get started.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. I'm here with my co-host Marie, just us two.
Hi.
And so, we're just in our brand new podcast area, our studio.
It's so cool.
Oh my gosh, this is so fun. We have like real gear and we have these headphones
We
on.
sort of look professional, right?
Yes. And so we just wanted to do, number one, like a little bit of test run of all of this fancy new stuff.
I'm sure I'll have lots of bloopers to go through.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I figured we would just kind of cover what's been going on, basically since we got the lease on this place and kind of go through the summer and now we're here. So
Well, we took a hiatus from the podcast for a little while. We got really busy. And I'm very excited to be back. So this is kind of my favorite part of Working Moms. I love interviewing the ladies and talking with them and us discussing mom stuff and podcast stuff and working, all the different stuff. So it's been busy. I mean, obviously the renovations took a little while.
Yes.
So yay to Frank and Roger and
Yes.
you and
Yeah.
using some elbow grease to get the place ready, but it looks fabulous.
Yes. I'm loving it.
Yes.
It was a lot of work and it took way more time and way more money than anyone thought it would. But we are here. It is nice.
Mm-hmm.
We've received, I feel like, positive feedback about it.
Oh, yes.
And I just like being here. Like, I just feel like the vibe is good. Like, when I walk in here, I'm like, okay, like, this is a good place to work. I feel like the energy's good. And so I'm into it. And here we are.
I agree. So I've been working here since we've opened.
Yeah.
Like I'm here typically every day, and it's nice. I mean, I have the ability to work from two different other offices. I have obviously my home office that I can work from, but coming here and collaborating and talking with the other women that come in or people just dropping by, it adds a different element to business.
Yeah.
We've talked about this several times, even on our previous podcast, of being apart for so long because of COVID.
Yes.
Coming back together adds a different level of engagement with people. And we're kind of learning how to be together again, in a sense, in the same space and sharing space. But I think you get a lot more ideas that way.
Yeah. I mean, I even feel like that right now. Like, how fun is it that we get to do this
I know,
face
this
to
is
face? As if we are just like our normal, like, friendship selves having a conversation. I just really like it. And I agree. It's been wonderful having these events here. And now we've even got a couple of little coworkers that, are coming in, and it's just been really cool. Last week we had a gal come in and she was recording some video for the first time, and, she came in here and used the studio. And afterwards, she just sort of shared like, hey, this is kind of a cool place to hang out. And we talked a lot about, she happens to also be in the real estate field. And we talked about work and, the different scenarios that she had been through recently, and me too. And it was just kind of nice to have those conversations. And it made me feel like not lonely. It's weird to say, like, when you work in real estate and I'm sure in many other job, options, after COVID and stuff, it has been lonely, I feel like.
Because I think a lot of people, in order to keep the work-life balance, they had a hybrid schedule, right? So I know in my industry, a lot of people do that. They work a couple of days from home, a couple of days in the office. But when I physically go to the office, I'm still in an office by myself.
Right.
Like, so I even, I'm not trying to eavesdrop on people, but it's nice to hear someone have an idea or say a phrase a certain way and like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And it just allows you to be more creative, I think, in what you're doing. Even if it's, let's say, different industries that are sharing the space, you get to hear how other things or how other people work, what they do, what they go through. And you're like, oh, I do that too. It's just in a different field.
Yeah.
So I think that's rewarding. And I like going to the office. Believe me, I do like my quiet time, you know,
Sure.
and we have that ability, like where we have this space. Like if I needed to come in and make a call and have some quiet time, we have our space here where we can step out and may take that call or whatever the case is. But
Sure.
I really enjoy being around people.
Yeah, same, same. Well, yeah. I mean, I just feel like I didn't really know the way that this episode was going to go, but I just feel like we needed to talk about just some of the changes and the different things that have been going on.
Talk about the big thing. I mean, we had our big grand opening not too long ago. That was really great. It was a lot of people that came in. We had some awesome vendors, a lot of sponsors that came in to help us out.
Yeah.
And I think they got some spotlight.
Yes.
You know, and then we also had some news crews come out to interview you, which was really cool.
Oh my gosh, it's just been so wild. And I couldn't be more appreciative, honestly, but it just doesn't feel real. You know, like we have talked about it so much, you and I, and just we've talked about it on the podcast. Like imposter syndrome is real and like it affects every person, I feel like. And so, you know, there have been times where, you know, we're opening up this space and we're doing this grand opening and like we got to be on the news and just different ways that we have been able to talk about working moms. And I'm like, what business do I have? Like what, like we would get these emails and I was like, they want to talk to me? Like why, you know? And so it's been really just surreal, but wonderful. I just feel like the more we can get working moms out there, the more we can help other ladies, you know?
I agree.
And the feedback that I've been getting is, you know, I didn't think I could go out there and network, or I didn't think this kind of group existed for me because my kids were young and I wasn't sure. And so I'm glad that we're able to help those moms because I've been that mom.
When we started to try to do it, I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like I'm going out and meeting random people. This is just weird. But then you look at it like it's friends. It's potential friends in the future. And I don't think of them as clients.
Right.
Like I don't think of them that way. It's really like, hey, I'm going out with a genuine heart. I want to help others. I've been in business for a long time. I've been doing what I've done for 22 years. Maybe there's something I can share with someone who hasn't been doing their job for that long.
Yeah.
Something that you don't have to remake the wheel. We can share ideas. But yeah, I didn't realize it was even a thing until we really started kind of focusing on it. And now my whole feed's covered with it.
I know.
With different groups. And I think it's great. There's unique groups out there for everyone. And this one, people always ask, do you have to be a mom? No, you just have to support moms.
Right.
Come in and be someone who wants to be around children, who wants to hear the stories about grandbabies or babies or teenagers. And that's okay. And you're going to share. And I think that's just something we all can at least relate to.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing. But I'm excited. I mean, I love the news story. You did great. I loved it. You did really, really well.
Thank you so much.
It is nerve-wracking.
I was so nervous, but they were really, really nice.
You know, and they interviewed some of the ladies, and they did awesome. You know, helps. It not only features working moms, but it also features all these other people that are out doing great things.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we should be recognized more. More positivity out there on the news or on the radio, wherever it is, than what we've had lately. So,
oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. No, that's the truth. Yeah, overall it's been so positive, and I couldn't be happier about how it's going. And I think it'll continue to grow, and we'll just kind of be here as it does and work hard. And
well, the group is still growing online. We have people who want to join every day. So that's amazing. And I think it is truly a helpful group.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll inspire other people to do more things.
Sure.
You know, or find more resources. And I think there are some out there we just don't know about.
Sure.
And I think we're going to still do that. But also continue to find ways to help the entrepreneur mom or the working mom, or resources that maybe we're just not aware of because we haven't had the time because we're raising children, running a business.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah, doing all those things and not having it. Maybe we're able to help that way as well.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, so I love it. I think it's great. I think everybody should come in and hang out at least once a week.
Yeah,
come
that'd be
see
so
us
good.
and share some space with us and share ideas. I think that's the only way you grow, right? If you're stuck in your own little hole all the time, there's no new ideas coming in. So how do you learn? How do you grow?
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's good. And now we have new equipment that we have to learn how to work.
There's a big learning curve on, I feel like, all of this. I mean, I myself personally have never leased a commercial space. Yeah. The renovation alone was very interesting, like learning the different steps. Our real estate agent, Priscilla, she, I feel like, should write a book about like the steps that it takes in order to get this stuff done, because I just was constantly calling and texting, being like, and now I do what? And who do I call? And what's the phone number? And all this stuff. And she was a really, really good resource for that kind of stuff. So anybody listening, if you are looking for a space like that, I would absolutely recommend her. She's fabulous. But there's a lot that goes into it, not just like financially, but just like knowledge wise and also emotionally. I mean, there were days where like we were either not going as fast as I thought we should be going, or maybe like things were more expensive or you know, whatever, or there's a hiccup, you know, you open up a wall and there's some kind of a problem or whatever it was. And so then you start thinking like, what am I doing? Like, remember when I just did real estate and I just sat at home and like, and I worked from my house and I showed some houses and, you know, that kind of thing. It was like, what are you doing, friend? Like, get it together. And so, but I mean, then the very next day, something wonderful would happen and I would just be like, oh no, this is why, you know? And so there are just so many different things that went into all of it. And like we mentioned, Roger, your husband, and Frank were there to do really the bulk of the work. Roger especially, so much of the work. Thank goodness he knows, you know, how to do all these things. Yeah. And Frank was here to help. And even I too, I did some painting and flooring and different things.
You got your elbow grease in there and sanding done.
Oh my gosh, the worst.
So, I remember coming in and they were getting the podcast room ready and I had just met with a client, so I was dressed up and there's this fluff coming out of the walls all over. I'm like, what is going on? It's like snowing. And it was just, we wanted to make sure, you were very concerned making sure that the room was of value. You wanted to make sure that when we did a recording or someone who wanted to come and lease the space had a professional's place to do that. So the walls are insulated, soundproof, and it's really good. They did a great job. They did. It was just very messy in the process of doing this.
Yes. I know it was so funny when we were doing that. I really got a kick out of like, because obviously the insulation blower had to be out back. Yeah. And so one of your sons and Frank were like feeding the insulation machine. Yeah. There's like this big hose that's like running through the whole thing. And then like I'm running back and forth. Roger would say, tell him to stop. And so I'd run back there and I'd be like, stop. And then I'd run back and he'd be like, okay, now go ahead and tell him to go. So I was getting my exercise running back and forth.
But I walk in with all this stuff. He's, you know, filling the wall and there's this stuff going everywhere. I'm like, what? You're making a mess? He's like, no, I'm fine. Tell her to stop.
Yeah. No, it all worked out pretty good, but it just was funny. So
that's good. And we've had so much positivity about it. Like people come in like, oh my God, this is so cool. Yeah. So I think it's cool. Like I've always told you, the podcast is my favorite part.
I know.
Of doing it. So I'm like, yay, I got an upgrade.
I know, right? And I'm so looking forward to having ladies on.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like in this situation where we're just like right here face to face, it's going to be even better. Like the questions can be better. The conversations can be even more real. I mean, I feel like before they were, but there's something about being behind a computer screen versus being like face to face that it just doesn't feel as real. And so I'm looking forward to having them come in.
And I think you also get to focus on, I know that we had some other incidents when we were recording on Zoom. You know, things would happen. So you'd be a little distracted or you might have a cat jump into the screen just randomly and it throws you off a little bit.
As it does from time to time.
It does. So, but here you at least to have the dynamic of being in person, seeing someone's facial expressions and, you know, I mean, obviously you can see it on the screen, but it's different. But yeah, I think having someone here in person will make hopefully more interesting, more dynamic, more questions will spur, and we might have, you know, more meaningful content for people.
I think so.
And ideas, right? And we don't. There's not on Zoom they have a stupid timer thingy, and now we're like, oh, we got to finish here soon. Yeah. And then you get all nervous. But I like that people can come into this space on their own. They don't even need us. They can come in if they wanted to start a podcast, they could.
Sure.
That's cool. If they wanted to do just personal recordings, they can come in here. That's awesome. So that's I think a benefit to a lot of people because until we started doing this, I didn't know things exist unless you had it at home.
Right.
So, you know, and I know we do know other studios have it, but this is a different aesthetic of having, you know, more of a feminine style. You come in and it's nice and clean and it's pretty. Yeah. So it's not dark.
No. Yeah, we tried to make sure, right, that there was some decent lighting and, you know, some pretty colors and flowers and all the things. They're probably not in the screens too much right now on
we'll have to show those later.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's a very pretty room. It is a very pretty room.
Yeah.
So it works.
So, yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if there's more things you want to talk about or
there's tons of stuff we can talk about, but I mean, I think this is great for our editing purposes or our next I'm missing the episodes. I know people have asked like, hey, when are you going to drop another episode? Yeah. So we'll come back soon and hopefully we'll have some more of our moms. Maybe the next time we can get some of our new members that are on our team to come in and let's chat about our goals. Yes. And they can share some of their ideas, you know, from their business aspect. But we have a lot of new people who have joined since we had our last podcast. So I'm looking forward to reaching out to a lot of them to say, hey, and inviting them to come on and to chat about their business.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yay.
So,
Okay, that sounds good. Well, then I guess what I'll do is I'll just close it out.
all right.
Okay, well, thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast, and we will catch you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Working Moms of San Antonio podcast. We hope you loved today's chat and found a little inspiration to take with you into your week. If you have a podcast topic suggestion or a question you'd love for us to cover, definitely send us an email at hello@workingmomsofsanantonio.com. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, see you in the community.